Okay, we are good, ready to get started. I thoroughly, to my heart, appreciate everyone coming out today. I want to give a message from the council and the mayor. The mayor and council, we've spoken to each of them, and each of them, they're watching right now, and all of them wanted to be here today. But today, it's not a public meeting, as in a formally called meeting. It's your meeting. It's the citizens' meeting. So it's an opportunity for the citizens, because that's what this charter is. It's the citizens' ability to determine how they want their city run. So that's why we're here today, to give you the opportunity to be able to suggest or put input in on any suggestions that you may have about the charter, and only the charter. So I know I got a call yesterday about 105 traffic, and if there's something we could put in the charter about 105 traffic. You're laughing, but I've received all kinds of calls. But of course, any suggestion is good. I've received emails, any suggestions, because again, it's the citizens' charter. I want to, I guess since I kind of been involved, the former mayor, Jody Chakowski, when he came on and he won mayor, one of his first meetings with me, or one of the earlier meetings with me, is he kind of saw that we need to have our charter reviewed, because it had been 10 years, and we need to have the charter reviewed. And one of his ideas at that time was council manager form of government. So, and then just clean up provisions, you know. So it didn't get any legs at that point. But I did hear what he was saying. You fast forward into a couple months ago, and it became a big issue. And people who kind of keep up with what happens in here, I know a lot of people here keep up with what happens here. It was a big issue over the quorum issue and people meeting and all that. This isn't the state of Texas's charter. It's not the Attorney General's charter. It's not anyone in Austin's charter. It's not the federal government's charter. It's not the city of Houston's charter. It's your charter. It's the citizens of Conroe's charter. And how do you change the charter is you do the process to change the charter that is from the people. I think there's no better committee than a committee of the people. And I know a lot of people, and even in the current charter, it says you may have a committee of 5 people, or you can just set up your own committee and kind of get people in. But there's no better, authentic way to do it than to open it up to all of the citizens. We put it in the newspaper. I saw it this morning on the news media in Houston. We've advertised in every mechanism possible. And this also goes to people who can't be here today. You can put any suggestion or input in writing, and send it in to us, because it's your charter. I want to go back a little bit of history, and of course our attorney, who we've hired, is the best in the state of Texas, and I told him that. And, he's the same attorney that we brought down before when we were considering it, because he's the best in the state of Texas. But going back a little history, the charter was first created in 1965. Okay, so 1965. Originally, it had no city administrator position. Okay, so if you look at the original charter, it had no city. And back then, when the charter was created, we had around 10,000 people in Conroe. So you fast forward to 1971. And actually, in the ordinance, 1971, in the ordinance, it created the city administrator position because of all the work involved. And in that ordinance, it says that the city administrator is over the entire city except the elected officials. It said except the elected officials. And they're supposed to do the day-to-day management. The departments and bodies are supposed to report to them. So that was in 71. Then you fast forward past that, and you get to 1992, and we tried to have a charter election, and we did have a charter election to amend it. And back in 1992, we actually tried to do a council manager form of government back then. And I know some people probably remember that. All the people who were living here probably remember that. And it didn't pass then, and I guess it failed by maybe 100 votes. I think it was like 400 votes for something for. 426 for, 564 against. So it didn't pass at that point. You fast forward, we amended the charter in 1999, or we tried to. And that was when we tried to make the municipal court an appointed position, the judge an appointed position, and that didn't pass. And then you fast forward to 2014, which is the most recent time, and that was when we amended it to make the municipal court judge, we put a term limit on him, and then we changed his duration of his position to 4 years instead of 2 years. Originally, the council positions were each 2 years also. So in the meantime, we changed that also. And we went in and we changed also the minor changes. We had elections in April. We changed it to May, the first Saturday in May. So we did some updates on those time periods all along the time period. So that's a little bit of the history. So we're here to take input. We have several suggestions that have been presented to the attorney already. And, we're just here to take input because, after all, it's your charter. So I thank you again for coming out and for caring about, Conroe and for, spending your time coming here and showing how much you do care about Conroe. So thank you, Tony. I can't thank you enough. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Nancy McKeska, and it's my privilege today to introduce our attorney for our charter review and our charter changes. Before I do that, I want to give you a few of the process of how we're going to do this today. You see that there's a form that's outside. We've asked you to fill that out. At the bottom of that form, you can put your comments on there, but some of you are going to come up and tell us your comments, so that's fine. Those lines were there for people who may not feel comfortable speaking at a microphone, because we get told that a lot of times, that people want to tell us something but they don't feel comfortable coming up to the microphone. So those folks can fill that out and drop that in the box, and we will still have that form, and we'll still look at that when we're looking at them. So we appreciate that. We'll leave that box there for a few minutes. We'll pick that up in just a minute. Our attorney will be handling that, and he'll call your name when it's time for you to come up, so you don't have to stand in line. We're going to have a 3-minute timer. However, if time moves on and we get people up and talking, we may give you more time. But if there is enough time for everyone, we want to hear from everyone, so that's really important. We may allow you to have a little bit more time. If we can do that, we will do that. We don't want to be here till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but we'll stay as long as we need to hear as many comments as we can. So it's my privilege to introduce Mr. Charles Zeck. Mr. Zeck has been with the Denton, Navarro, Rodriguez, Bernal, Sante, and Zeck firm since 2006, and he's a shareholder since 2011. I'm going to read this whole thing because it's really impressive, and I want you to know that Gary wasn't kidding when he said he went to the best charter review firm in the state, because that's what we have here. He served with the United States Navy for 6 years and was honorably discharged. He earned a bachelor's degree of business administration and finance and a bachelor of business administration and economics from Southwest Texas State University in 1995. He has a doctorate of jurisprudence from St. Mary's University Law School. He got that in 1998 and was admitted to the state bar the same year. He earned his Master of Public Administration from Texas State University in 2008. Mr. Zeck has 26 years of legal experience, 23 years of expertise in local government and municipal law as a city attorney and a special counsel. Mr. Zeck, in association with his master's degree, authored a comprehensive research project reviewing all home rule charters in Texas, and a copy of that is available online if you wanted to see it. In addition, the firm and Mr. Zeck assisted the Texas Municipal League in the most recent drafting of their book of Texas Home Rule Charters, the second edition, another reading you might want to look at, which is an update to Terrell Blodgett's monograph of Texas Home Rule Charters. Mr. Zeck has been assisting city administrative personnel, elected officials, and appointed citizen charter review committees in both the initial creation of Home Rule Charter and in reviewing, updating, and revising city Home Rule Charters to ensure they comply with all relevant federal and state laws, and providing recommendations and revisions for over 23 years. His first such review occurred during his tenure as the City of New Braunfels City Attorney in 2002. In addition to assisting cities in the review and creation of home rule charters, Mr. Zeck is engaged by cities when initiatives have been filed with cities to amend the home rule charters and to assist in the review of any of those initiatives. Finally, Mr. Zeck is engaged by cities to assist in interpretation of clauses and language of the Home Rule Charter when questions come up and impact their cities. Mr. Zeck has assisted the municipal cities in the creation of the first Home Rule Charters, including the following cities, but not limited to: Prairie View, Fair Oaks Ranch, Fort Stockton, Garden Ridge, and Wolfforth. Mr. Zeck has been previously engaged to assist multiple cities in the review and amendment of their home rule charters, including but not limited to the cities of Alice, Beaumont, Bee Cave, Big Springs, Bernie, Brady, Burnett, Coleman, Coppers Cove, Crockett, Elgin, El Paso, Granbury, Hitchcock, Pflugerville, Robestown, Santa Fe, San Antonio, Schertz, Texas, and Victoria. Mr. Zeck has assisted multiple cities in handling the legal process and issues associated with citizen initiatives, and he also has interpretations including but not limited to El Paso, Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Taylor, and Troy. His area of practice in legal background is Home Rule Charter, Creation, Review, and Defense. He is a city attorney, general counsel, special counsel, development agreement person. He has an economic development background, employment law, land use law, ethics compliance, public integrity, Open Meetings and Public Information Act, General Ordinance and Resolution Drafting, Texas Public Information Act and Opens Meeting Act, and Open Records, Water Rights, and Zoning. He was admitted to the bar, as I said, in 1998, and he is a member of all of the state courts in Texas. He is a U.S. District Court Northern District member. He can also practice in the U.S. District Western Court. He is a member of professional associations all across Texas, including but not limited to the International Municipal Lawyers Association, Suing and Defending Governmental Entities, San Antonio Bar Association, City Attorney Association, past president, Texas City Attorney Association, past president, Texas Managers Association, the College of State Bar, University of Texas, and he has served on the University of Texas Land Use faculty, and of course he is a Texas Municipal League Board of Directors. So it's my privilege to have him here today. We're fortunate that he was able to take our request to help us with our charter. We could not find anybody more qualified who has the best interest of the citizen involved, and so please welcome Mr. Charlie Zeck.
You know, all of that sounds very impressive until I tell you two things. I'm generally a cat person. We have 4 dogs. Why do we have 4 dogs? Because my wife wanted 4 dogs. So I think we know who really the smart person is in my family. I've been married for 36. I like to so I'm going to treat this. First of all, I'm going to apologize because my ears are constantly popping. I've got a bit of a remainder of a sinus cold that I had, and so I apologize. I apologize in advance for that. But I'm going to treat this like I typically treat when I've been engaged to assist with an actual, appointed committee to review the charter. And I start it in this way because nobody likes looking at or talking to strangers. Some of you may think, that's not a stranger, that's Kenny Rogers. Wrong. Kenny Rogers is dead. I don't know if you know that. I am here and I'm alive. But you need to know a little bit about me, I think, so that it's not a stranger talking to you. So it's going to sound like I'm going to start at the beginning, and it's going to take 20 minutes, but I promise you that it won't. I was born in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, in 1966. My parents moved me to Texas in 1972. Basically, apparently as quick as they could get me here. I've lived in New Braunfels, Texas, since I moved to Texas with my family, so that's quite a long time. I can't even do the math on that, despite my BBAs. Those BBAs are in finance and economics, by the way, not math. Those are different things, in case you didn't know. I've been married to my wife, Beverly Zeck, who is the queen of my heart for, I'm going to get in trouble now, 37 years, somewhere around in there. I have 1 daughter. She is 34. Don't hold it against me, but she lives in Los Angeles. She is practicing at being an actress and a model out there. She is also the love of my life. I think everything else other than the dogs is everything you kind of need to know about me. I wasn't expecting you to read that. Thank you very much for that. Professionally, I went to St. Mary's Law School. I got out of law school and was a trial lawyer. I was an ambulance chaser, as my mother-in-law liked to say. I did that for 3 years, and then I became the city attorney in New Braunfels, my hometown. I don't recommend becoming the city attorney in your hometown unless you like getting stopped at the gym, at the grocery store, all of those places. And also I banned Jello shots and alcohol on the river, so none of my friends were very happy about that. And I've been practicing in the municipal area since 2001 when I started my career for the city of New Braunfels. I really love what I do. Public service is in my genes, and that's what I consider what I do, even though I do it by contract. I'm city attorney for about 50 cities in the state of Texas, at least named. I've got lawyers that do the work, but I'm the named city attorney. So let's talk a little bit a high-level view of government in Texas, just briefly before we get into this charter discussion. Raise your hand if you're an expert in government in Texas. Oh, this gentleman is right here. He's an expert. All right, glad to hear it. I'm going to give a very high-level view of local government in Texas because I think it's important in the context of home rule charters. So Texas became a republic, I think, in 1936. Became a state, I believe, in 1945. Sorry, 1845. Thank you very much. Head cold. I'm going to blame all those things on head colds. 1845. And between the time they were a republic, the time they became a state, and by the time a home rule charter authority was adopted in 1912, cities were created either by the Texas legislature by a special act. So every time they'd meet, folks would come to them and they'd say, we would like to become a city. And the Texas legislature would pass special legislation to incorporate them to become cities. They did that for a while until they got tired of having to incorporate cities all the time. So in 1858, I believe it was, they created a general law which allowed cities to incorporate under the general laws of the state of Texas. And those laws have since been tweaked a little bit, but otherwise incorporated into the Texas Local Government Code, which is where they sit now. Does everybody know how to go find the general laws of the state of Texas? You Google Texas Legislature, or click on the link that comes up, click on the statutes part of the legislative page, and then all the codes of the state of Texas pull up, and you can have access to them. Texas Local Government Code is one of them. In 1912, the legislature adopted the Home Rule Charter Act and then sent that to the citizens to be voted on, and the citizens then voted on a constitutional amendment to allow citizens to come together and create their own government under what's called a Home Rule Charter, and that occurred in 1912. What is the difference between a general law city and a home rule city? As an initial matter, there's about 3 types of general law cities in the state of Texas. There's Type A, Type B, and Type C. Type C being a commission form of government. I mean, I'm always curious. Does anybody know? Is everybody familiar with a commission form of government? You ever heard commission form of government before? So, commission form of government was actually created in the state of Texas. And the reason why it was created in the state of Texas is because there was this hurricane down the road. Don't know if you heard about it. Took out basically the entire city of Galveston, right? And so when that occurred, the citizens of Galveston and the political folks in Galveston were trying to figure out a way to put their city back together in the most efficient way possible. And so they came up with the commission form of government. And it worked really, really well. It worked so well that the commission form of government spread across not only Texas but the United States. And now, when I ask the question, does anybody really know anything about a commission form of government? The answer is like, no. And you think, well, Charlie, why don't we know about this if it spread across Texas and the United States? Well, the reason why is it was really good at putting back together the city of Galveston, but it was also really corruptible. And there was a lot of corruption in commission forms of government, and it is sort of dropped by the wayside. And so you don't see commission forms of government anymore that much. And so on the opposite side is the home rule. So here's a big difference between and it's a significant difference between general law and home rule cities. General law cities have to look to those folks in Austin to figure out what they have authority to do. The Texas legislature adopts a law. It's in the general laws of the state, and if a general law city would like to handle a particular issue within its community, it first needs to look to the legislature to see if they have that power and authority to do that. Home rule cities, on the other hand, they do not have to look to the general laws for purposes of authority to do something. They have the inherent power of local government. They have essentially the same power as the Texas legislature, except where some law otherwise preempts or prohibits them from regulating in a particular way or taking some action. So that's a pretty big difference. Another difference is that most charters have initiative, referendum, and recall, which in my mind are very important aspects of local government. Initiatives allow citizens to bring a petition to initiate laws. Referendums allow citizens to put on the ballot a law that the government doesn't like, and recall allows them to remove in what I hope are really serious cases of misconduct or malfeasance by a council member, to put it on the ballot to recall a council member. General law cities do not have any of that authority. The citizens do not have the authority to initiate laws. The citizens do not have the authority to repeal laws that they don't like. Neither do they have the authority to recall a council member who may have serious misconduct, unless they go through a particular process that is through the district courts, as opposed to the ballot box. So I think those are important distinctions. Home rule gives its citizens the flexibility to create a government that they like to see. So how do we create a home rule government? The first thing you do is you have a population of over 5,000. If you don't have a population of over 5,000, you cannot have a home rule charter unless you previously adopted it and then you drop below 5,000. If that has indeed been the case in a few cities in Texas, you don't lose your home rule charter status, but you do have to have a minimum of 5,000 in population before you adopt that charter. The Texas Local Government Code spells out a process for doing that through an initiative of the people, or by city council appointing a committee or a commission to put that document together. And so I am biased. If you ask me what form of government is the best form of government, I'm going to tell you home rule. But having said that, home rule cities have a variety of different ways that their governments are structured, because not everybody's Conroe. As a matter of fact, the only Conroe I know of is Conroe. Not everybody's New Braunfels. I think everybody would be better off if they're New Braunfels, but that's just me. I'm a little biased in that perspective. So a home rule charter can be drafted and created by the citizens, approved by the citizens, to fit the citizens' needs, desires, values, etc. So that's sort of an overview of sort of Texas, cities in the state of Texas, and the difference, not minor, but the differences between home rule and general law cities. And so now let's talk about amendments to those charters. And by the way, charter creation, home rule charter creation and home rule charter amendments can be found in Chapter 9 of the Texas Local Government Code, for those of you taking notes. And so that code provides a process for amending the charter. And charters have to be amended if the city council receives a petition of 5% of the registered voters, but otherwise they can place amendments on the ballot every 2 years. So you can only amend your ballot every 2 years. So let me back that up. You can put amendments on the ballot as many times as you want, as long as none of them pass. If you have an amendment that passes, you have to wait 2 years before you can place another item on a ballot for purposes of amending your charter. My personal opinion is if you're having to place ballot initiatives for amendments to the charter that often, something's not right with your charter to begin with, and we need to probably take a little closer look at it. Because in the end, A home rule charter really is your constitution. It is intended to set up the form of government that you operate under, as opposed to the form of government that the folks in Austin dictated through the general laws, and create the structure under which you are governed in our democracy. And it is, of course, a representative form of government, right? So, what I tell my charter committees is when you're looking at your charter from a review standpoint and thinking about whether or not there needs to be an amendment to your charter, you shouldn't be looking at it from an I perspective, from what I consider to be a selfishness perspective. In other words, you shouldn't be looking at it from, this is what I want in the charter. This is not what I want in the charter. Because you don't get to decide that individually. The citizens get to decide what is in their charter and what is not in their charter at the ballot box. And so the discussion and the decision rationale process should be, what is important enough to our community, to our values, to the efficiency of government, to any number of things such as, increased transparency, increased government citizen participation. Are there legal revisions? Is the charter in conflict with state law in some way? Is there some change in community values that doesn't line up necessarily with the way our charter currently reads? Is there some government efficiencies that we'd like to see in place? Just things like that. From that perspective, out of those things, and other things too, right, that we believe are important enough for the citizens to vote on. That's how this should be looked at. Because I know in the city of New Braunfels, there's a lot of things I'd like to see in the charter, personally. Does that mean it's best for the city of New Braunfels? In some cases, definitely not, right? Because my values, my needs, my preferences are not necessarily reflective of the community as a whole, because we are a diverse community. And so when we're looking at this process, as we're going through this process, this is what I tell my committees. We're not reviewing this from a perspective of I. We're reviewing it from a perspective of us. And what is it that is best for us and our community? And in this case, we're talking about the city of Conroe. And one of the things that I think I bring value to a community when I assist is that I don't live in your community. And some may say, well, that's actually backwards. You should live in our community if you're going to talk to us about our charter. But here's the thing. I don't have a vested interest in the outcome of what your charter looks like. I don't have a vested interest in any policy decisions that your city council makes, or a vested interest in what your charter looks like, other than this. I want to make sure that I answer your questions in the best way that I can, and that it's legal. That's my vested interest. So, I've been asked to assist with city council, with staff, and I guess at city council as well. Obviously, they're the folks that authorize the engagement, and we've been poking around a little bit in the charter, and we've come up with a few things to toss around as to whether or not it should or should not be on the charter. I'll briefly just go through those now. And then I believe it's just, your time, right? And I apologize if I'm taking up too much of your time. First there are some legal issues within the charter that we're going to take a look at that will just easy fixes, right? For example, annexation. The laws have changed significantly in the last 6 years with respect to annexation. And so we need to just clean up language to make sure that our charter is consistent with things like that there's no inconsistency between what the law says today and what our charter says. There is some antiquated language in your charter we might want to clean up, just sort of low-hanging fruit, so to speak. I think we still reference statutes in some places in there. Vernon's statutes, which we don't have. I mean, Vernon still exists, but everything's codified nowadays. And personally, I don't like references to state law and charters anyway. Why? for the very reason I just stated. If the state law changes, then the reference in our charter is incorrect. And I don't know if you know this, but our legislature meets way too often, at least every 2 years is my last check, and apparently in special session every time now, because that seems to be the case. So we're looking at those things. That's a very low-hanging fruit to make sure that our charter is consistent, that it's written in what I call Hemingway-ese, so not like a lawyer, like Ernest Hemingway, who writes very plainly. We're been asked to look at the council manager form of government. Your form of government obviously now is not council manager form of government. Just as an FYI, about 85 to 90% of home rule charters in the state of Texas are council manager forms of government. Excuse me. And also, this shake is not nerves. This shake is something that happened to me like 3 years ago. I have no idea what it is. Even my doctor's like, I don't know what it is, Charlie. We can give you a pill for it, maybe. All right, thanks a lot. So we're taking a look at that, and there's a variety of different ways that can look. I believe they've been asked to take a look at terms and term limits. Do we need to adjust terms? Do we need to deal with term limits? There's some differences, just so everybody knows. Y'all have 2-year terms right now? 4-year terms right now, rather, sorry. There's differences between the 4-year terms and a 2-year term if the citizens thought that was a good idea. Pretty significant differences with respect to how you are elected and appointed, things of that nature. How do mayors and council members get items on the agenda? Should that be placed in there to ensure that council members and mayor and the mayor ensure that item that they want on the agenda as a legislator gets onto that agenda? Obviously, as mentioned, there's an issue with quorum issues in the community I'm hearing about, and we're looking at making changes to that from that standpoint. We're looking at how officers and employees may be appointed and how those people are recommended and confirmed by council. Maybe some tweaks to that. Same with boards and commissions. Looking at whether or not council compensation should be something that's baked into your charter. Looking at qualifications to office as it comes to financial disclosure requirements. Should it be a qualification before you can even file for office that you are transparent with your financials and disclose that information to the community before you're qualified to file for office? How do we handle health benefits to ensure that taxpayer dollars are properly appropriated and utilized in those circumstances? Your recall provision is rather vague. We're looking at making sure that we have some better specificity with respect to what's required on a petition in order to subject a council member to recall. And we're looking at what I personally consider, and there may be disagreements, but what I consider a low-hanging fruit is how are petition signatures calculated. Currently, your charter requires a percentage of people who voted in the last election. That can result in wild swings in the number of petition signatures required, depending on how popular the previous election was. If the popular election was very, very popular and your entire electorate came out to vote, well, the next time you have a recall, it's going to be difficult to get those signatures, right? Because you had a lot more people vote. But if the previous election was not that popular and not very many people came out to vote, a recall petition will be very easy to get because very few people came out to vote. A better approach to that is to base it on some percentage of the people who voted in the last election, or who are registered to vote in the city. And yes, that number is going to increase and decrease and fluctuate between elections, but never in the wild swings that you might see from election to election based on who voted. And then also looking at how do council members and the mayor order a special meeting. So those are things we're just looking at for purposes of whether or not they need to be tweaked and placed in front of council for their decision as to whether or not it should be placed on the ballot for the citizens to give their input on. And with that, I am done. It's not bad for a lawyer, right?
Mine.
Yes.
Before you get started, I want to introduce our staff. Sammy Quinlan is in the back here. This is our police chief, John Buckholz, Norman McGuire, our assistant city administrator in public works. This is Mike Garner, our attorney, and of course you know Gary Scott. And we have another attorney in the audience, Mr. Feldman, is in the back there assisting us today as well. So sorry I didn't introduce him earlier.
That's too many attorneys. All right. Too many attorneys, period.
Okay, what I've done is I took this stack right out of the box and I flipped it upside down. So the first person to put his memo into there is going to get called first. If I call your name and you don't wish to speak, but you want staff and our attorney to consider it, I will greatly, pass it on. Just let me know. But when I call your name up, please step up to the mic and we'll get things going. Mr. Kim Matea.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My name is Kim Ataya, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm here to propose an important amendment to our city charter, one that limits the financial authority of the city council strictly to essential services, police, fire, and core infrastructure like water, sewage, drainage, and roads. In other words, any taxpayer money should mirror Conroe's mission statement to protect and serve the citizens of Conroe and exceed their expectations. This amendment would also require that any large-scale project outside of that defined scope must go to the citizens for a vote before it can be approved or funded. We need this protection because, frankly, the city council decisions have put our city at serious financial risk. A few years ago, 3 members of a previous council relied on a flawed feasibility study, acted on bad advice, and approved a $147 million city-owned Hyatt Regency Hotel and Convention Center, according to the most recent June 3rd, 2025 S&P Global Ratings report, quote, absent any material future improvement of the hotel's operational and financial performance outperforming our base case, we anticipate a default on the subordinated debt in April of 2026. Taxpayers will be left to deal with the consequences of a venture that local government had no business pursuing in the first place. On top of that, the Oscar Johnson Jr. Community Center is massively over budget. While no one questions the good intentions behind it, financial burdens have created new liabilities that Conroe taxpayers will be faced with. These aren't just mistakes. They're symptoms of a system that lacks built-in fiscal guardrails. That's why I'm proposing a charter amendment that, 1, limits city council spending authority to core responsibilities, police, fire, water, sewage, drainage, and roads, and 2, requires citizen voter approval for any major project spending outside that scope, no exceptions. This isn't about tying the hands of the council. It's about restoring trust, protecting taxpayers' hard-earned money, and making sure our priorities are grounded in what truly matters to Conroe citizens. Let the people decide when the city wants to take big risks. That's democracy, and that's fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Mr. Frankhauser.
My name is Doug Frankhauser, and I actually did a lot of reading yesterday on the council manager, which was very interesting reading. I'm saying retain the current council mayor form in the city. I think it is working well. Council is currently made up of 5 at-large positions. No additional positions should be considered. Organizational management best practices states that the optimum number for a committee or a team, in this case council, is 5. The odd number prevents ties and improves the odds of making a correct decision when using majority rules. Under the at-large form, every council position is accountable to all the citizens of the city. Limit the financial authority of council to core functions: police, fire, public works, and infrastructure projects such as water, sewer, roads, and transportation. Anything outside of these functions, these core functions, and any large-scale projects, when using debt, must be approved by voters. The Oscar Johnson Jr. Community Center is an example of an out-of-control, large-scale project that is over budget. Form must follow function, not the other way around. Projects like the $7.5 million brick-paved alleyway downtown should be borne by the developers of the area. That's half the cost of a new water plant that, in a city that we desperately need more water. Ban the creation of limited government corporations by the city. Prior council ignored recommendation by the former city attorney against such action, but the Conroe Local Government Corporation was created and was used to build a hotel, which is another financial disaster and another liability that Conroe taxpayers must bear. Adopt zoning for the city. This provides long-term planning, especially infrastructure planning. Zoning clearly defines areas for future development and protects current developed areas, such as residential neighborhoods, from other types of development, including commercial or industrial development, which affects the quality of life for the residences. Forward-looking cities such as Frisco, Texas, have zoning.
Mr. Stecker?
Hopefully I'll make this short and sweet. Thank y'all. Good example of open, honest government. That's what we need. I want to second these gentlemen's positions, especially when it comes to voting on out of normal expenditures. The citizens are the ones who need to make those big economic decisions, not politics. And the other change I'm interested in, we have a city council made up of 5 city council people and a mayor. But 3 city council people seem to be running the show on a regular basis. I'm not here to name names. I'm just saying that, and by the way, I'll say that most of the decisions that they make, I concur with. But it's how they go about it. It's meeting in the background. It's having private conversations. It's deciding, making decisions, and for example, firing department heads. I'm actually not against firing department heads. That's not my point. Point is, bring it before the executive committee, have a conversation, let the other representatives of the city who represent other citizens of the city or some other citizens of the city be in on a conversation that make a good business decision for the city of Conroe. It's just the methodology. That's my concern. Thank you.
Mr. Harris? Okay. Ms. Olmsted?
Want to give something in writing? Okay.
Julia Olmsted? No, okay. Is it Brenda Belger? You can pass, okay. Charles, is it Hofer? Hoffer?
Great first name, by the way.
Thank you for hearing me. I absolutely had no idea this was what this meeting was about. So, but what I've got is I second what these gentlemen have said, but I think that we need to be real careful. Now, Frisco was brought up, and if you go up to Frisco and look at it, they got a ballpark, they got great streets, they got everything that Conroe sort of semi has. And we have good cops and we have good fire. I mean, we have great people here. But if we restrict it and don't do it, we could really limit the type of like future growth for businesses to come into this community. So I would suggest that you know, if you're going to do it right and make sure that you have a way that a good company can move into here and feel comfortable here and feel welcome without being restricted. Now, one other thing. Where I moved here 10 years ago, and I live in a nice community, but I'm getting struck on two sides now with god-awful developments. And what you're doing is you're going to make my neighborhood, if we're not careful, you're going to make my neighborhood like Greens Point. You're going to have apartments around here, and you're going to they look pretty today, but in 10 years from now, they're going to be trash. So you're hurting me. You're hurting my values. So I would appreciate y'all. I don't know how you do it, but if it's through the charter or whatever, take care of this thing and take care of my home. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to ask, could we get contact information or at least your name so that if we do want to do a little background research, we can.
Yeah.
And possibly some of the points that you covered. I think there's a lot of people in the room that are making notes, but we don't really know. So I don't have something prepared. I do want to say that I am very heavily in favor of geographical representation is the way I'm going to refer to it, with both those positions and at-large positions. I come from a government background with county government. I have seen how the Commissioners Court, even though they each represent a certain area of the county, they all represent the county, and they come together and they work for what is good for not only their areas, but the county as a whole. So I think that's very important. I do believe that the mayor needs to have a vote. We've seen it time and time again in this council chambers where it would make a big difference. I am not personally in favor of the city manager. However, if that is what happens, I think, and I've done a little research, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that part of the requirement must be that the city manager live in the city limits of Conroe. We do not have one single administrative person that lives within the city limits of Conroe. I personally have a problem with that. I don't think that if you don't live here, you're not suffering through the same issues that we are. So I'd like to see that changed. And that's really all I have. But I appreciate you coming, but we would appreciate some background, or at least I'm not even sure what your name is. It's been pronounced a few different ways, and so I wasn't really sure.
Oh, wow. Okay. I can do that for you right now.
Okay. Okay.
My name is, my parents named me Charles Edmund Zek, but I do not like that middle name, so I don't use it. I go by Charlie, and it's Zek, and it's spelled Z as in zebra, E-C-H.
E-C-H, okay.
And I go by Charlie.
I thought you were Beck, so that's
That's
good.
okay.
No,
And I can tell you, when I was in the military, I was Carlos because I was stationed in Spain for 4 years. I was Carlos, Carlitos. I've been Chuck, which drove my dad crazy. Chaz. But Charlie's just fine.
And one other thing I did have a note on, I don't know if it's part of the charter that could be, but I think we need to seriously look at reinstating the boards that have been dissolved by this council. We need a planning commission. We need a parks board. We need citizens that are out in the community. We've had a big issue with opportunities for childcare within the city that have just been done away with really no explanation. So we'd like to have some citizen input on that. You can come here and you can talk. I will tell you, I don't feel like people always listen. You can email, but there is no response. I will say that wholeheartedly.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Patterson? Yes, sir.
I'm glad to speak. I have to leave in 10 minutes, actually, so this is perfect. Just the two things I wanted to suggest was I've seen online people discussing that we amend the electoral rules to go from a at-large voting to district voting. I just want to say that I oppose that. I think we need to stay at-large voting. People think that district voting will increase the accountability for the representatives, but I think it would be better to achieve that by expanding the council, because 5 members does not seem like enough people for how much it's grown. I think 7 were probably good. Either 7 or you make it an even number with the mayor as a tiebreaker. But those are just 2 things I want to bring up, just reviewing the electoral rules and representatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Avery?
Okay, can you hear me? I'm too short. Up there. Now, I have 2 things that I have put as questions. The first question had to do with the comparison cities that Conroe would be compared against from consideration of the different pieces, shall we say, of a charter. There are a lot of cities that have similar population, and we want to look forward. We want the city of Conroe to shine, not to be down in the grind. Again, we want Conroe to shine, not to be in the grind. There's been too many negative things that I have said here, that I've talked about to the council, to other people. Everyone except you, sir. You don't know who the heck I am. But everybody else that's up there, they know who I am. Now, the other question I have is, what is the status of the rendering that was sent to the Attorney General's office in regards to TOMA? That is an issue that needs to be resolved. And as far as I know, the AG has not sent anything out. But when you have to go to the AG to get clarification of what is the percentile and why the mayor can't vote because he's not. I mean, there is a strong mayor, there is a weak mayor. There's different forms of government, and the citizens of Conroe need to know what the various options are and how they can be represented. Infrastructure is another disaster. South Loop 336, it's been 60 some odd years, and it's not 4 lanes yet. We have trucks that are going down there. We have people that are speeding, driving like idiots. We have had a number of wrecks. I have the list from TxDOT of how many wrecks have occurred from 45 to 13, 14. You cannot take 2 lanes, smash it into one, and say, hey, it's 55 miles an hour. These are stupid things, and these are things that I have brought up. We have to have roads. We have to have infrastructure, water, sewage, drainage. When you step outside this building, you look at the streets and the city, they are not pretty. They're cracked. They look bad. You have to spend money to get people from point A to point B and safely back there, and also for the police and the fire department to not have to try to schedule around the traffic or the lack of any movement for them to go and help. We have to be cognizant of the facts for the entire city, not just one aspect. Thank you.
You want me to answer them?
Patricia Bell?
I'm happy to. I don't think you should compare. Yeah. Do you want me to answer?
Hello, my name is Patricia Bell. I live at 8967 Tamina Road. I live in the community of Tamina. I didn't know it was this kind of meeting, but since I have the floor, I think you guys will probably know where to apply what I'm saying. We have been blessed, the Tamina community has been blessed to receive monies from the ARPA funds to bring much needed sewer and water to our community. The community has been around since 1821. And of course, with that date, that lets you know that, of course, people have built homes since that time up until now in that particular community. And with the changes that's going on in the city, Conroe City, it's a blessing. The water and sewage is a blessing, long needed. We've been wanting it. We've been fighting for it. with that said, there's been some hardship where when a resident wants to work on their house and maybe they need to have the power disconnected temporarily just to work on their home, there are permits now that are required. But when you already have an existing house that you built without a permit because it was allowable, and now it's required, it's like being stuck. We have residents that work on their home, need the power disconnected, and when it's time to reconnect the power, they need a permit. And they can't get a permit because they didn't have a previous permit. And so I know that Texas, sometimes when laws change or regulations change, they will allow you so many years to get into compliance, or they'll grandfather you in. And so that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there any way that, in light of the situation of Tamina receiving sewer and water and needing these different permits that they cannot get right now, can that community be grandfathered in? You know, it doesn't have to be indefinitely, you know, but give them so many years to get into compliance instead of having to have those sewer permits and electrical permits or water permits when that's in the process. It's in the process. The project should be finished by the end of 2026. So can we get, you know, grandfathered in? That's it.
Mr. Cable? Sam Cable?
Say Cable?
Yep.
Would be me. Good morning, and I'm here representing a committee that was not appointed, was not elected, but just a group of concerned citizens that got together, and we are made up of people who are active in community affairs. It's a group that is geographically, racially, and politically diverse. People on both sides of the last year's not controversial, but the election we had that was very thank you. I appreciate your help. Gary spoke very eloquently about hearing the voice of the people, and this is basically what we were talking about in our committee. We were aware that council is considering a charter review, and our committee has been in discussion with members of our community, and we feel that the citizens should have a right to have their voice heard as far as what goes on the ballot. We have constructed a list of items that we feel should be considered for the charter review when it is presented for public vote. Our committee decided on 4 items that we feel should be considered on the ballot. Our diverse group is not in agreement as far as the passage of each of them, but we strongly believe that they should be placed on the ballot for the citizens to have a voice. They are adding 2 council members, having the mayor vote, single-member districts, city manager as opposed to city administrator. We have been told that there would not be a citizens committee to make recommendation for what goes on the ballot as allowed in our current city charter. We feel that this would be a huge mistake. We feel like there should be a citizens committee appointed to receive recommendations. We are aware that there's movement for this charter review to be on the November ballot. We are strongly against this. It is our understanding that in order for this to happen, the ballot would have to be created by August the 18th. To rush an issue of this importance would not give us time to educate the public on the issues at hand, basically depriving the citizens of an informed vote as far as what goes on the ballot. Free elections are great, but you've got somebody has to determine what goes on the ballot. We think it should be the citizens. We think there's no reason to rush this, and it would be prudent to place this on the May ballot. This would give our citizens an opportunity to have a thorough discussion about each of the items and to have a voice about which items should be placed on the ballot. Our council speaks about listening to the voice of the people. We strongly agree. Thank you.
Sir, could you, I'm sorry, I caught two. I couldn't write fast enough. So could you repeat your, add to? I'm sorry? Will we get a copy? Can we get a copy of this? Can I have this?
Yeah. Sure.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you bet.
Mr. O'Neill.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jerry O'Neill, and I've been here 62 years in Conroe. And I'm going to tell you something. We need single-member district for everybody to get representation. The way it's right now, you got 5 council members live on the west side of town. What good is that doing for all the rest of these communities around here? You got 5 council that vote everything. All these wells going on the west side, all you people are paying tax dollars on this here, and you're not getting nothing for your money. I can tell you that right now. We need to change this right here. We need to make it fair for everybody. Not by what zip code you live in, but you're the citizen of Conroe. And I got these ladies over here. I got 3 ladies in here that's been coming up here with this mold. I'm going to leave this with y'all. They took a mold test and another deal right here telling them they need to clean their mold. So I'm going to leave this right here for y'all to look at that. So, and these ladies have been up here year after year to get Bellshire Apartments to get this fixed. And this is the same problem they've been running because you city council members, they voted y'all in here. All these ladies voted. They voted. They voted the mayor and 2 city council members in here to serve and protect them, the whole community. So that's your job, to serve and protect these people, right? I don't care what zip code they stay in. I don't care if they live in apartments. That is their job to do that. And I hear y'all talking about our hands are tied. Your hand wasn't tied when they got $17 million from Galveston. $17 million grant from Galveston. Y'all signed off on it. So your hands ain't tied. And do you want these apartments to be like Greenspoint? Greenspoint got hundreds of apartments down there that's abandoned because they went out, ran out, collected all the money, didn't fix the apartment. Is this how we want to go with the apartments now? You either tackle it right now and stop these apartment owners from running over these people. These people don't have a voice. But I'm a voice for them, and I'm going to fight for them. They're going to come up and talk with y'all, but we need single-member district. So everybody get representation. If you want representation, single-member district. I can tell all y'all. We'll change things around. It takes the people voice to do it. If they won't do it, all you people get out and tell everybody they need to vote so we can get it done. We get some council members that's going to sign the single-member district. We're going to get it in here. Thank y'all.
Nakotha Haynes.
Yes, my name is Nakotha Haynes. I am a resident of Bellshire Apartments. I have been battling this since 2017. I have bought multiple proof of the condition that I've lived in. I've had to throw my furniture away due to sewer backing up into my apartment, outside the apartment. I am now at this point battling health issues due to the sewer, the mold. The water is bad there. We can't drink the water. I just had a recent meeting with Miss Nancy, Mr. Scott, and the mayor. Since then, I've just been told nobody can do anything. That's Bellshire's private property, but that's where I live. I've witnessed some of my neighbors die in their apartments. It's being swept under the rug. I've witnessed children getting sick. I've witnessed children walking around on the ground smoking drugs because they see the manager out there smoking drugs. I've taken pictures. I've shown the officials. Everybody tells me it's nothing they can do. Is it because we live in a certain part of Conroe? I'm a voter. My father was a Vietnam veteran, decorated with a Purple Heart. I feel honored to be a Conroe. I was raised here, born and raised. My family fought for this place, but this is how I have to live. My neurologist just told me I can't live in that apartment. I'm having health issues, but nobody cares. And now I'm having even backlash because I did that media shoot and put it on Facebook. I'm even having backlash from other people. Like I'm doing something wrong by asking to be able to live better, to be able to drink water, to be able to not walk through my house and not get dizzy and pass out in the middle of the floor. But nobody cares because I've been battling this since 2017. Miss Nancy, at that meeting, you told me, I didn't recognize you, but you told me when I was showing y'all the pictures. She said, aren't you the lady from 2017 that had the case? But it was shut down. I just gave y'all all of that plus more. One of those mole kids are from out of my apartment. They just had to rush me to the hospital. I sat at the hospital all day with IVs and them study trying to get blood and poking me all day. That's not fun. I've gotten to the point to where it almost feels like life is not worth living anymore. I don't know what else I can say or what else I can do to ask for help. That's all I have to say.
Sorry, Ms. Montague.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Montague. I live at Bellshire Apartments. I've been dealing with the same issues now for 6 years. The apartments refuses to do anything to help us. We can put in numerous requests to fix anything, and all they do is say, oh, well, we'll get around to it. Never do. They go in there and we have mold everywhere. All they do is spray and paint over it right then. They refuse to cut it out. I broke my hand last year. And what they said is, oh, well, we can only fix right where you fell. I fell on their property. There is numerous places where the concrete is so unsafe. My grandmother, who is almost 85 years old, slipped on their property and broke her hip. And they did not do a damn thing. They didn't even fix it. We've got the contractors literally saying, oh, we can't fix anything. The apartment complex will not allow us to. My kids cannot go outside for the fear of all the drugs, all of the drug activity. I am afraid of losing my license because of me going outside because of all of the drug activity. I am a nurse. I should not have to fear about walking outside of my house, but just for all of the drugs. It's literally you get out of your car and that's all you smell. It gets into your hair. It gets onto your skin. It absorbs into your body, whether you're walking through it or not. I've got people above me that do it. I've got people across the way from me. There is swamps of water from where water just sits there in the middle and nothing is done. Broken sidewalks, mold all in the apartments that nothing gets done, mold in the AC units to the point where we can't even turn on our ACs, and it's summertime because of all of the mold. We are ingesting so much mold that nobody gives a shit. We are fed up. We need help. And we literally talked to Miss Nancy and Mr. Scott at the meeting along with Mayor Kuhn. Nothing gets done. Everybody keeps telling us, oh, it's federal. It's federal. It's federal. Anybody know a federal lawyer? I mean, what are we supposed to do? This is where we live, but God forbid, if we lived somewhere else, it would be taken care of right then. But because we live in low income, nobody gives a shit. Thank you.
Ms. Fairley?
Good morning. This is Rhonda Fairley. I live at Bellshire Apartments as well. I was born with multiple birth defects, and I was hoping not to have to move again, but these conditions at Bellshire is affecting me aside from all my birth defects I have. I have been tested for black mold. They tested me for outdoor black mold. It was negative. Indoor black mold was positive. So living there, I have also black mold, and now I am eat up with worms in my apartment. I cannot no longer cook. Last time I tried cooking, there were worms all in my food from the air conditioning, blowing the worms out into the food. So I'm having to buy prepackaged, and I can't even eat that. I'm afraid that the worms are, I really don't have an appetite at all. I just took my dog to the vet. He has gained a skin infection of the skin. So he's on 3 highly potent antibiotics to rid himself of that. So I'm treating myself and my dog at the house. He was checked about a week ago for his annual visit, and there was nothing wrong with him at all. And then I noticed these big high-rise bites, I thought they were, maybe from fleas or something. But it turns out it is a skin infection for him. I'm afraid he's going to develop the black mold as well. So it's not only humans we're worried about, our 4-legged pets as well. So, we're dealing with a whole lot here at Bellshire. I'm trying not to repeat what was already said about the conditions there. I'm preparing myself to move. I don't know if I'm going to have to put everything in storage and live in my truck because I live on a set income. I've tried several other places to live, and due to my income, I am turned away. So I've just got to get out of there. I've got to get away from the conditions there. Living there has given me serious added conditions to my health that's already a very serious condition. Birth defects is my heart as a birth defect. There's 5 different things wrong with my heart. I have spina bifida and scoliosis very badly. But, living in that apartment has given me 2 other very serious conditions. I've been to the hospital twice and to my PCP once. And when I leave here, I'm having to go back to the hospital. These bites has bitten me from head to toe. It feels like it's ripping. It's ripping. Their heads are like arrows, and that's how they shoot and get into your skin. And it hurts very badly. This is a very hurtful condition with these things. I don't know what kind of worms they are. I have about 100 pictures of these things. And again, it's from head to toe. They burn very badly. Right now I'm burning from these things, and I am eaten up very bad from these worms. So I have to go back to the hospital, see what they can do. I fear for my birth defects of the spina bifida and my heart condition. I don't know if they can get inside of those organs or not, but I'm going to have to find out. I need to be medicated for that.
Mr. Coates? Did you do two? Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm just getting over, I've been singing a lot. It's helpful. I think singing is the highest form of praise you can give God if you do it with your whole heart. I feel for a lot of people in this room and hearing what people are saying, and it's like, I've been sick, and I understand these kind of things. There are things we can do, I think, in this city that are just common sense and don't cost a lot of money, and some of them may need to be reinstated, like the clubs, right? I'm going to say controversial things because I always try to tell my truth, and I'm not going to be ugly about it. I think to lower the temperature in this city, I would recommend a permanent public relations officer who answers all weekly questions through press conferences twice a week and speaks to the council directly in public. Now I'm going to say something that's going to sound very strange to all those people who think TOMA is so great. TOMA is basically an unworkable law, in my opinion, right now. It forces people to hide in the normal course of daily business that should occur in a government or any organization. So I think TOMA, it had its purposes back in the day, but I think it should be revamped or scrapped. It's my personal opinion. And I would recommend that to any city in this state. This city spends way too much time dealing with stuff like that, and not the stuff I'm hearing right here, basic human issues. You got outdated laws. You said that, but I wrote this before you said it, so I'm just letting you know. We got a lot of outdated laws, especially about annexation. I know that because Nancy knows I was her chief nemesis for April 7th. Anyway. But they need to be pruned. They need a haircut. They look, well, I need one too, but I play rock and roll, whatever. Anyway, outdated laws need to be pruned. So ordinary people, common language, they can just look at it. We need common language in Conroe. And I recommend some Conroe, with this charter, they need to revamp it so anybody who has basic literacy can read it, okay? I need it now because I'm going a little bit blind. I found out I had a cataract, so, But it would be helpful that we could not communicate in legalese all the time and try to remember phrases we haven't examined since we were in college, okay? I have, but I was a government teacher for about 12 years. Just a few more things. I know of basically no city in this state, and please know, especially where's Jerry? And let me finish. This is important. I've only got 4 lines here. I know of no city in this state that's made actually more whole by actually adopting single-member districts. I have never encountered that, and I do go into some very, people who don't want to go there. I'll go there to get a vote for a candidate. All right? And what do I mean by that is if sometimes in life, if your attitude is going to be negative, right? And you say, well, I want to be separate from the city. I want my own single-member district. You end up with a balkanization of spirit. There's less communication. You don't get more out of it. People tend to flee each other. It's not the right way to go. So I think what does need to happen is what this gentleman suggested. And that was simple. Reinstate some of the community organizations which do the outreach and actually have some of those rechartered so that through the city, so that some of those people become in the leadership class. What does that mean? That means some of their officers are elected by their own neighborhoods. That gives them real power coming before the city and a more equal standing. That's a much better approach. You get more fruit from it. Finally, I'm not going to talk too much about the many. We need to stop. I'm going to say this. My note's gone. We need to stop doing the blame game. Recriminations. Once an election is over, it's over. You got to work with people, and you got to try to understand their point of view. If we could do that in this country a little bit more, we'd have a better country. God bless you all.
Ms. Hoisington? Yes, sir.
Good morning. I'm not going to go into specifics. It's just a high level of some ideas that I think would definitely benefit us as a city. Just to speak, we are one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and which we all know and feel. We all want to see Conroe thrive, but we must ensure our government's foundation is strong enough to support the growth. So recently, the council voted 3-2 to eliminate the Citizen Planning and Zoning Commission. Excuse me. This wasn't just a procedural change. It was the removal of a critical check and balance. It closed a window for public oversight and took away a vital bridge between the people and the government. This decision highlights a structural weakness in our city's charter. A slim majority of the council can remove citizen oversight and concentrate power within City Hall, accountable only to themselves. The city administrator, who oversees development, serves entirely at the will of the same council majority, blurring the lines between professional management and political influence. This is not a system built for transparency or accountability. But we, the citizens, have the power to fix this, and the solution is to amend our city's charter to permanently restore and protect these checks and balances. I'm here today to propose a clear and common sense plan for an accountability charter. First, we must protect citizen oversight by putting key commissions like planning and zoning directly into the charter so that they can't be eliminated on a whim. Second, we need to ensure financial accountability by creating an independent audit committee made up of council members, third party. I would like to see a blend of that to watch over how our tax dollars are being spent in detail. Third, we must professionalize city management. Let's protect the city's administrator from political pressures by requiring a supermajority vote for removal. This ensures that they can be given objective expert advice without a fear of political retaliation. And finally, let's guarantee our charter never becomes outdated by mandating a citizen-led review commission every 5 years. This isn't just about stopping progress. This is about ensuring progress happens, but with the people and not to the people. This is about building a government that is transparent, responsive, and accountable. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
That is all we have.
Does anyone have anything else that they would like to talk about? Or with regards to the charter? Oh, come on up.
I'm just a little embarrassed.
Oh,
I've never did this before, so this is my first time.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a form that wasn't turned in?
Yeah, we're open.
You have a form that was not turned in?
You can turn in your writing too, your form also. You can turn in what you wrote also after you get done speaking so that we have it in writing. Your notes, if you want to turn those in after, you could turn your notes in afterwards also. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Say a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't want to say a whole bunch because I know I could make a real big speech, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make it short and sweet if it's okay.
Okay, that is
You
fine.
know, and people's told me I could come here and say, I'm Ellen Conroe, and my husband is Thomas E. Conroe Jr., and he's the great-great-grandson of the founder of Conroe, Texas. So I'm here for him, too, not just for the people in town, but my husband, he's got cerebral palsy, and he can't walk right now, so he has to have caregivers and stuff, and it's been kind of hard for us to get any, you know, for me to help, for him to help. He's 67 right now, and I'm 71, so it's hard for me to take care of him like I want to, so we're just doing I'm doing what I can because I'm not a professional nurse or anything, you know. So anyway, I was thinking about the town of Conroe and how we can make it better. You know, that's what y'all want to do, you know, is make things better. So I was thinking about the homeless people that comes here and they get hungry and they do things that, you know, like the male and the females, they do things that's maybe against the law. And I was thinking, like, instead of planting regular trees out in Conroe, maybe we could plant like apple trees or pear trees or something like that, some kind of fruit trees that can grow around Conroe. So in that way, whenever the homeless comes and they ain't got no food, they don't have to worry about going to a store and stealing stuff, you know. They can always get pears or apples. Like if there's a tree, maybe we could plant some gardens, like once in different areas of Conroe. So in that way, in case the homeless comes and they get hungry, instead of, you know, begging people and doing things against the law and going to jail and stuff like that, it will help them to be able to have food so they won't be hungry, you know. It's just a suggestion, you know. I mean, I've been to California, and I lived down south of Louisiana, and I lived there anyway. Now I'm in Texas. I'm a Texan. But anyway, I was just thinking about the people, the homeless people, and I really think that the hospital, the Conroe Hospital, should be corrected some, because my husband, last year, he was able to walk, and he did things for people in Conroe. He helped people, you know, he helped the homeless, and he did what he could to help people. And on May the 14th, he went to the hospital because he fell. Sorry, going too far? Am I too much?
No, you're not too much.
Go ahead.
You
Finish
may
your thought.
continue?
Yes, sure. Finish your thought.
Okay. So we went I took him to the hospital because my back had went out and I couldn't help him anymore. So the ambulance brought him to the hospital, and he stayed for 3 weeks in the hospital. And what happened was, about a week before he got out of the hospital, they didn't give him no physical therapy hardly, and they hardly even set him up in a chair or something to try to help him, you know, work his legs and stuff. And his right leg had bent, and he started having spasms real bad, and they started giving him pain pills on pain pills, and I thought he was dying, you know, I thought he was going to die, and I was scared, so they transferred him from the hospital to the Park Manor, and he went in there for a little while, and thank God they did some physical therapy on him, you know, and they did that, and they finally got his leg to where he quit having spasms, so in that way he was able to stop taking the pain pills, you know. But anyway, I'm just here to try to do what I can. There's a lot of things I would like to say, but I'm going to stop, you know, because I know y'all got things y'all got to do, and everything's going to be, praise God, in the name of Jesus. We're going to work down in the name of Jesus.
Thank you, Ms. Conroe, and thank you. Your whole family has done so much for the city, and we appreciate you. We pray for your husband and you every day, and we're just so grateful that you're in our community. I just would like to know, just a show of hands, if this has been a productive meeting. Have you enjoyed it? Is this a good format for us to receive information, or is it just another waste of our time? We want to do things that matter. So if you think this was a good format that you could use, we'd like to know that information, because we want to continue to receive information in the most, not as formal as it is at a council meeting. And everybody is truly entitled to their opinion, and I appreciate everybody being professional and nice, because that's exactly what we should be doing as a community and as a city. I want to thank Mr. Zach for coming today. He's come all the way in from a long way off. I appreciate him. Yes, ma'am.
May I offer to have it maybe not during working hours for a lot of people that really wanted to?
Sure, that's a possibility. Sure, that's a great idea. I want to thank Mr. Zach for coming in, and I want to thank Mr. Fellman in the back there for helping us with all he's done. We'll hang around a few minutes. Yes, ma'am, Miss Avery?
Could you please identify who Mr. Fellman?
Mr. Fellman's in the back. He stood up a while ago. Yes. And so we're going to go ahead and adjourn. We'll hang around a few minutes. But I do want to remind you the forms are here. If you want to fill it out and leave it, or email it in, or send it in, or drop it by, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome to contact any of your city officials, that being the council, if you have ideas about the charter, because we are interested and we do care. So their emails, you all know their emails. Most of you know their phone numbers. You're welcome to text them or email them, and they've asked us to pass that on to you, because they do care about what you say and what you have and your thoughts, and we care. So we appreciate you coming. I think it's a great idea that we may have one in the evening. That's a wonderful idea, but we appreciate the turnout for today, and I think it's a great start. So thank you all.